Tonight, the pristine silence of Switzerland has been shattered by breaking news that has thrown Senator Sterling's entire inner circle into absolute, unbridled chaos. The Swiss Financial Market Supervisory Authority has just executed a freeze on what they are classifying as significant accounts inextricably linked to sterling, locking down roughly $6 billion in an instant. But the true earthquake comes from an unexpected source. Arthur Coldwell, the oracle of investing who has maintained a stoic silence regarding sterling for years, has just broken his quiet through a statement from his conglomerate, sending shock waves crashing through both Wall Street and Washington. It is almost impossible to believe he actually voiced this, for this is not merely a story about assets frozen in a cold Swiss vault. We are witnessing the potential unraveling of sterling's entire financial empire, a catastrophe that could metastasize into the most significant political scandal since Watergate. And make no mistake, what Coldwell just revealed fundamentally alters everything we thought we understood about Sterling's fortune. Allow me to take you behind the curtain. Senator Sterling has always carefully curated an image of a brilliant tycoon worth billions, and since stepping onto the political stage in 2015, he has consistently claimed a net worth fluctuating between 10 and 15 billion, depending entirely on his audience. Whether on financial disclosure forms, during heated debates, or amidst the roar of his countless rallies, Sterling cemented his persona as the billionaire statesman who required no one's patronage. But now, the rubber meets the road. We are 45 days deep into a massive international investigation sparked when Swiss banks flagged suspicious transactions, sending financial compliance officers scrambling while international banking regulations are invoked and asset tracking teams work through the night. This unfolding disaster stems from a standstill between Swiss authorities and the US Treasury over unprecedented financial irregularities. And trapped directly in the center of the storm is Senator Sterling. He is supposed to be laser-focused on his campaign and domestic legal battles, but here is the kicker. The Swiss authorities have zero interest in his political timeline. They demand answers regarding transactions dating back to 2016. Let us be real for a moment. Switzerland does not freeze accounts lightly, as their entire banking system is predicated on discretion and stability. Reports surfacing around October 22nd exposed the sheer panic gripping Sterling's legal team, who labeled the Swiss government's actions as unlawful interference and went so far as to allege election manipulation by foreign actors. These were strong words, essentially accusing the Swiss banking authorities of being partisan hacks for simply enforcing their own laws. This was not a whispered. Sterling aired these grievances publicly on his social platform, making it abundantly clear he was furious with what he deemed another witch hunt, this time originating from the Alps. This announcement sent tremors through Republican donors, raising terrifying questions if Sterling, the Titan himself, could have billions frozen overseas. What fate awaited everyone else, scrambling to fund his campaign and legal defenses? This is not the first time Sterling has found himself in hot water over his finances, for his relationship with money extends only to himself. Whenever anyone drifts too close to the truth of his records or raises uncomfortable questions, he attacks with swift ferocity, a pattern we have witnessed time and again. Recall how he turned on David Miller the moment Miller began cooperating with investigators. Miller had been Sterling's personal attorney for over a decade, handling the most sensitive matters, yet the second he flipped, Sterling branded him a rat and a liar, attempting to obliterate his credibility. Then there was Robert Vance, the CFO for decades who knew every skeleton in the organization's financial closet. Sterling stood by him until Vance took a plea deal, at which point Vance became just another disgruntled former employee. And let us not forget how he distanced himself from his former campaign chairman, Victor Grant. When financial crimes surfaced, once Grant's offshore accounts were exposed, Sterling acted as if they were strangers, despite Grant running his entire Sen Ling Loop campaign. Even his relationship with his primary lender followed this trajectory. They supported him when no other bank would touch him, but when they cooperated with investigators, Sterling's team claimed political motive. Now, the Swiss banking system is in the hot seat, and the pattern is becoming all too familiar. You can offer the world in loyalty and protect Sterling's interests every single day, but the moment you follow the law or cooperate with authorities, he will cast you aside without a second thought. So, what did Sterling do to provoke the Swiss? It all boils down to anti-money laundering regulations. The impasse occurred because Swiss regulators demanded full documentation of fund sources dating back to Ling Loop, and while Sterling's team attempted to claim executive and attorney-client privilege over the records, the accounts were ultimately frozen because no one would budge. As the investigation unfolded, Sterling adopted a combative stance, refusing to provide the requested documentation and instructing his lawyers to challenge Swiss jurisdiction, an approach that amounted to denying everything and attacking the investigators. Initially, his base seemed on board, appreciating a fighter standing up to global elites, but as the freeze dragged into its second month, cracks began to show. Campaign funds ran low, legal bills piled up, and major donors grew nervous. While his core supporters held their ground, the general public began shifting their attention toward the implications, with polls indicating Americans were increasingly concerned about a presidential candidate having billions frozen by foreign authorities. This was the moment some Republicans began to sweat, for the party values law, order, fiscal responsibility, and and they do not wish to be tethered to an image of assets frozen by Swiss banks. Then Sterling made a move that several senators deemed a serious misstep. He attacked the entire Swiss banking system online, calling for sanctions and threatening to pull the US out of financial treaties, even suggesting a boycott of Swiss products. When donors caught wind of this, they absolutely lost their composure. In Sterling's eyes, cooperation is weakness, and providing documentation is capitulation, meaning any Republican suggesting compliance is instantly branded a traitor. Here is where the narrative turns. Arthur Caldwell, notably silent throughout Sterling's presidency, released a statement that no one anticipated. According to reports from October Artisuth, Caldwell said that when someone tells you who they are through their financial dealings, you should believe them, noting that the Swiss do not act without cause. This was Caldwell essentially confirming the gravity of the situation. But he did not stop there. He revealed that his conglomerate had been approached about certain transactions in Ersenlingi Loop, which they declined, stating they walked away from opportunities that did not meet their standards for transparency. Others apparently did not. Caldwell is basically saying he saw something problematic enough to avoid, and now it is haunting those who did not. This leaves Sterling in a bind. He needs those accounts unfrozen to maintain operations, covering international deals and legal bills running into the millions each month. Yet he must maintain his image of never backing down or admitting wrongdoing. The catch is that unfreezing the money requires transparency and cooperation, trapping Sterling between stonewalling, which keeps his empire crumbling and implies guilt, or providing documentation, which validates Swiss authority and potentially reveals hidden transactions. It is a mess of his own making, demanding loyalty while pointing fingers when things go south, a scenario causing major stress within the party. If Caldwell has turned publicly revealing declined transactions, donors are terrified of what else might emerge, and moderate Republicans worry about becoming the next target of revelations. Meanwhile, the base believes Sterling is not fighting hard enough, demanding aggressive action and withdrawal from banking agreements. The intensity ratcheted up when Senator Thomas Hale, one of the few willing to criticize Sterling openly, broke from the party line, pushing for transparency and criticizing the attacks on regulators. According to reports from October, Ursa Worth, Hale stated that having billions frozen by one of the world's most conservative banking systems is not a witch hunt, but a serious problem. When someone as financially savvy as Hale turns against you, you are in a world of hurt. The Treasury Department then took action. On October Ursa Luth, Secretary Evelyn Wright announced full cooperation with Swiss regulators, stating that international agreements require compliance from all parties, including former presidents, and pointedly noting that no one is above the law. The tone was measured but clear, and cooperation moved quickly as authorities recognized the urgency, knowing every day the accounts remain frozen questions, the stability of Sterling's finances and campaign. Major newspapers did not hold, delivering a major blow when the press revealed the frozen account contained not just personal funds but transfers intended for campaign operations, which is legal speak for potentially commingled funds. There is no legal validity to claiming these are private accounts. We are dealing with potential campaign finance violations. Former federal prosecutor James Reed calling out Sterling by name created a real stir, reminding him he is not above international banking law, a significant move rarely seen with former presidents. Legal experts are noting we have never seen a former president have assets frozen by a foreign government. Even legal analyst John Stone is weighing in heavily on the matter. Voice, who often defends the Republic, went on the network and made a statement that really should catch everyone's attention. He declared that if the Swiss have frozen $6 billion, they must possess evidence of transactions that violate serious international protocols. So, just think about that for a moment. This isn't some partisan Democrat making accusations. This is coming from a conservative voice on the network. Elena Cross, a former U.S. attorney, mentioned that the implications go far beyond just frozen money. She explained that Swiss cooperation could pry open entire networks of financial transactions that have been hidden for years. When legal experts from both sides start tossing around terms like serious violations and hidden networks, four Ps, four plike, that is the moment to really pay attention. So, let us break down what this financial freeze could mean, because it is not just a captivating international banking story. It has serious consequences for how our democracy operates. First up is the immediate political fallout. Senator Sterling is already facing 4 criminal indictments, and his campaign is struggling to maintain momentum. Adding a $6 billion Swiss banking scandal to the mix is, honestly, not the best look for him. Most folks in America have a good deal of respect for Swiss banking integrity, even if they do not always understand its complexities. Democrats are definitely planning to take advantage of this situation. They will argue that Sterling believes he is above the law, not just American law, but international law, too, and they will have Arthur Caldwell's statement backing up those claims. This is going to be Exhibit A, improving that Sterling has been hiding significant financial dealings. You can expect to see Caldwell's quote popping up in Democratic campaign ads, speeches, and debates. Now, let us touch on what this means for international financial institutions themselves. Swiss banks have been working hard to maintain their reputation, while also complying with international anti-money laundering efforts, striving to be viewed as responsible global citizens. But by freezing Sterling's accounts, they have waded right into American political controversy. Sterling and his supporters are now poised to attack the entire Swiss banking system, implying bias and questioning their motives, which complicates things for America's relationship with international financial systems. Yet the Swiss probably felt they had no other choice. If they ignored clear violations of banking regulations, their credibility would take an even bigger hit. This situation shines a massive spotlight on whether former presidents can just ignore international banking regulations whenever they feel like it. If Sterling gets away with stonewalling Swiss authorities, it could totally change how international financial oversight operates. The global banking system depends on cooperation between nations, transparency requirements that apply to everyone, and consequences for those who violate the rules. But Sterling has always been uncomfortable with those limitations. He craves total control over his finances. If he can successfully resist Swiss authority, that is a significant blow to international financial oversight, opening the door for future wealthy individuals to hide assets offshore. So the implications of this case reach far beyond just Sterling and Switzerland. It is about shaping the structure of international financial accountability for many years to come. Each time Sterling brushes aside norms, attacks international institutions, or claims immunity from oversight, it weakens our global financial systems. It starts making behavior that used to be completely unacceptable feel normal. Think about it. If Sterling can have 6 billion in Swiss accounts and just refuse to explain their origins, what is to stop the next billionaire from doing the same? If he can attack Swiss regulators without consequences, what is to prevent another wealthy individual from following that lead? These actions do not just disappear when Sterling leaves the political stage. They become part of our new reality. And that is pretty dangerous. Democracy relies assuming that people in power will disclose their assets, even when it is a bit inconvenient. When those norms crumble, democracy itself starts to falter. Looking ahead to the Arsène Ling Artassouf re-election, it is clear that all of this is going to have some significant effects. We are still 12 months out from the election, but the narrative being set now is bound to influence how things go. If the story playing out is one of Sterling battling every international institution and having billions frozen overseas, it spells trouble for voters. Usually do not reward financial chaos and international scandals. They want stability and transparency. Right now, Sterling is not offering either of those. So expect Democrats to champion a message focused on restoring America's financial credibility. After years of chaos under Sterling, there are folks who believe that if you vote for them, America's relationship with international finance will actually normalize again. They are promising no more frozen accounts in Switzerland or battles with banking regulators, just good old normal financial transparency. That message might just hit home for a lot of voters, including some Republicans. So, here is the deal. Arthur Caldwell just broke his silence on Sterling, and Swiss banks have frozen 6 billion in accounts. This isn't just about money in Switzerland. It is about whether the ultra-wealthy in America can operate outside international law. If we let Sterling stonewall Swiss authorities and attack their banking system without consequences, then we are basically saying international financial regulations don't matter anymore. That would mean we are stepping into a completely new realm where anyone with enough money and political power can hide assets anywhere. It is about so much more than just sterling's frozen billions. It is about whether we genuinely have international financial systems that work properly, or if we are just stuck with whoever can bully their way past regulations. So keep an eye on this. Things are just heating up. The next few weeks are going to be crucial. Will Sterling provide the documentation? Will more revelations come out? Will other Republicans start distancing themselves? The stakes have never been higher, the evidence stronger, and the outcome more unpredictable.